Hush, little Nathan, don't say a word. Kyle's gonna buy you a mockingbird. And if that mockingbird don't sing, Kyle's gonna buy you a diamond ring.
That's gay.
I was hoping you'd fall for me.
Welcome to the Get Buckets podcast, sponsored by Joey Butita.
Onions!
If you would like to sponsor the podcast, all you have to do is up Joey's bid. I can't tell you what it is, but contact Kyle or I, and you can sponsor the podcast.
It's 254-717-4614, for those of you that don't know.
You should probably all have that memorized by now. Give it out every
Probably.
week.
And most of you already have it anyways. Okay, never mind.
I wonder if Court listens to the podcast.
And the show goes on. I don't know, Court. If you listen to this, send me and Harvey a text. Like the podcast on Facebook, idiots.
Wow. It's a great way to gain fans by calling them idiots. I'm sure this will work.
Seriously, it's going to work.
Okay.
If you don't like it, I hate you.
Reverse psychology. Good job. Okay. Kyle, your intramural team, how did y'all do last week?
Well, last we checked, we had a playoff game coming up the night of the podcast. And the other team had a Division III basketball player on their team. And he face guarded me the entire night. We ended up losing the game by 15 points, which is 20 points less than we lost the first time we played them. Yeah, it was a pretty rough game. Not a whole lot of outside shooting going in for us. And the offense just wasn't really there, and the better team won.
Let's talk about that a little bit. How do you feel about face guarding in intramurals? Is there a place for that?
I guess in the playoffs it's okay, because if you want to win, put Booby in. But if you want to win,
Sorry.
If you want to win, you've got to do what you've got to do, and they took me out of.
But what level is this? What like A, B, or C, or whatever y'all do? However y'all do.
We only have Division I and Division II, and it was Division II. So.
See, I would go. I don't think there's a place for that in Division II.
Well, I mean, just because you're in Division II doesn't mean you don't want to win. It just means that you're not as good. But this team was really good. They probably shouldn't have been in Division II to start with.
Right, there's a lot of teams like that in ours. And if anyone face guards in intramurals, I feel like you're taking it way too seriously. You're acting like it's, the Final Four. This isn't a real game. This counts towards nothing. You're taking it probably a little too seriously if you're face guarding.
Right, and at that time, I was also very flattered by the fact that they were like, hey, let's face guard this 5'7" white kid that isn't really that good. I was like, okay, like boost my ego up a little bit. We'll see what happens. So, I mean, while I was upset that they were face guarding me, I was kind of like, yeah, if everybody's like looking over and being like, why are they guarding this kid full court and not guarding anyone else at all?
So did Coach Drew come and talk to you after the game?
He called me and I was like, hey, once you get an assistant coach that knows the X's and O's of basketball, I might come play for you, but you're an idiot. What about the Prison City Crabs?
Well, last week we had played the night before and lost, so we've taken our 7-day recovery, and now we're going to try and go win a game. And we have our full team, so this could be exciting. Or we could lose again. I really don't know what to expect.
Maybe one day I'll take my talents to the Prison City.
That'd be nice.
Absolutely.
All right. College basketball. Last week, Ohio State, Pitt, Kansas, and Texas all lost. That's just ridiculous. But that leaves Duke as the new number 1 team. Are they the nation's best team?
No.
Good answer. Now, who is the nation's best team, and why is it not Duke?
Based off of the team's accomplishments for this year, Pittsburgh is the best team in the nation. They're 6-2 against the RPI top 25. Duke is 1-1. Ohio State is 2-2. Pittsburgh's got a head-to-head win over Texas, and I'm not sure what to think of Kansas at this point. But as of right now, through what has already happened this season, Pittsburgh is the best team in the nation.
Solid argument, but I like Ohio State better because I don't like Pitt.
Right, but you don't have any argument other than
My
the fact that
argument
you
is
don't like
their 2 losses are on the road against top 11 teams. So, not bad losses by any means.
But they don't have a ton of great wins.
No, they don't. They have good wins.
They have good wins. Much better than Duke. Duke's best win on the season is at home against North Carolina. And then their best wins after that are neutral site against Kansas State. And I don't remember where they played Michigan State.
Who we've established they both suck.
Right. They're both bubble teams. And this is a very, very down year. Well, not down. There's a lot of parity this year in college basketball. So being on the bubble, you don't have to be very good.
I feel like Duke just got the number 1 by kind of like by default. It's like all 4 of these teams lose, so we have to bump 5 up.
Which is kind of silly because you're ranking the teams on their body of work for the entire year, not for the past 7 days. So the fact that people felt the need to do that, in my mind, is just kind of silly.
Rankings in themselves are silly, even in football too. It's like if someone gets a good win, you have to move them up no matter what. And if someone loses, you have to move them down no matter what. That just doesn't make any sense.
Well, the beauty of rankings in college basketball is, in the long run, they don't matter.
Wish I could say that about college football.
Let's go viral with our new bowl system with 64 teams and not 64 teams.
What? What are you trying to say?
Nathan, what were you talking about just then with that whole 64 team thing?
What?
Okay, don't try to act like this was me talking. Nathan, what were you talking about with this whole 64 team football? You said something like 64 teams, but not 64 teams. What were you talking about exactly?
What I was talking about was these 64 theoretical teams that I was going to place in an imaginary bubble and then pick one by one and plant them in the ground, and thus they would grow into real teams.
That's stupid.
Well, you shouldn't set me up for that then.
You're going to place them in a bubble and then draw them out one by one and plant them in the ground? Were you ever going to water them?
I thought that was implied, but okay.
Were they going to get adequate sunlight?
If I planted them in the ground, wouldn't they get adequate sunlight?
I don't know. Where are you planting them? You didn't say.
Maybe
you're planting them in Antarctica and they're not
planting them in permafrost. I know that. This Nathan hate the last few weeks is just absolutely ridiculous.
You're the Newman to my Seinfeld.
I'm the Newman? Are you kidding? I'm that? Oh, wow. Kyle, tell us about Baylor basketball.
I don't know why I'd tell you about any other Baylor sport, since we don't talk about any of the other sports. As you continue to be an imbecile. Baylor lost this past week at home to Texas Tech. Texas Tech is terrible, for those of you that don't know. They just don't play good, consistent basketball. They'll play a good half here and a good half there, but they can't put 2 good halves together. And against Big 12 competition, they dig themselves in holes that they can't get out of. They don't do anything really, really well. They don't defend well. They don't score well. They don't run an offense well. They don't rebound really well. They're really long, really athletic, but Scott Drew just can't seem to pick a defense that works. Offensively, they run too many isolation sets for either Perry Jones or Lace and don't do a good job of getting everyone involved. And they turn the ball over too much. That might be their biggest problem, turnovers.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. Their biggest problem. You think it's turnovers?
I think it's got to be turnovers. And there's a bigger picture there, whether that is just the lack of an offense forces the guards to do too many things that they're not capable of, but turnovers is the biggest problem.
In your opinion, which you are a Baylor pessimist, do you think they have a shot at making the tournament?
they do have a shot at making the tournament. They've got Missouri, Oklahoma State, Texas A&M, and Texas left on their schedule, all of which would be fairly quality wins because Oklahoma State is at Oklahoma State. So they've got a good shot. They need to win 3 out of 4. That would put them at 9-7 in the Big 12. Then win a game in the conference tournament, and they're right there on the bubble. But from watching this Baylor basketball team play, I don't think they will get into the tournament.
Tough stuff. Tough stuff. All right. Let's talk about the NBA. And Carmelo still hasn't been traded. But it's only 2 days away. He's got to be traded sometime.
I can't wait until he's traded. I'm tired of hearing about it.
He's been news every single day for the last 2 months. I'm tired of hearing who he's meeting with, who he's not meeting with, who he's getting traded for, and what foreign draft pick prospect is not included in the deal.
And what new no-name player the Knicks won't throw out there. It's a joke.
I agree. But this weekend we had All-Star Weekend, which I actually enjoy. I know, I guess, a good percentage of the media doesn't like it. I enjoy it. But Blake Griffin won the slam dunk contest after jumping over a Kia. That's kind of upsetting. He couldn't have picked a better car.
Yeah, I mean, Kia is the official sponsor of the NBA, so it does make sense that he jumped over a Kia. And I don't know any other Kia models to note, so I don't know what better car he could have jumped over. On an interesting side note, I wonder how Kia becomes the official car of the NBA, but 0 NBA players drive Kias.
That is a very interesting note. We should look further into that.
I'd also like to mention that Serge Ibaka had an incredible dunk that, in my opinion, got underscored when he took off from behind the free throw line. He outperformed Dr. J and Michael Jordan and only got a 45.
It should have been a 50, but the problem is, and the reason he doesn't get a 50 is because he's like 7 feet tall and very long. So it didn't look that hard. Michael Jordan's 6'6". That's amazing. But he's way too long, and it didn't look all that awesome. But for those who actually appreciate how far that is, it's very amazing.
And just based off the fact that he just pulled off an iconic dunk. That's one of the most famous dunk contest dunks of all time. And he pulled it off better than 2 Hall of Fame basketball
He didn't
players.
do it better than Michael did.
He did it from further away.
But he's got like 6 inches on him. And a freakish wingspan.
Okay, well, in that case, a little guy would win every dunk contest if you based it off of, he's this tall. Like, there's no other guys his size besides LeBron can. But there's not a lot of guys his size that are capable of doing that.
I agree. I just think that Michael Jordan's is better at just taking it all in, and his looked very similar to Dr. J's just because they're both so just like lanky and long, and it didn't look like that impressive of a dunk. It was more of an athletic feat, kind of like Dwight Howard when he threw the ball in the goal when he Supermaned it or whatever. Wasn't that from the free throw line when he threw it in?
Yeah.
I mean, that's just freakishly athletic. But the best dunk, in my opinion, was DeMar DeRozan's. That was...
Which one?
I'm blanking on it. Was it some kind of reverse windmill or something?
Uh-huh.
I'll have to...
I know.
It was dumb looking.
I miss the days when the dunk contest was about who can come out and dunk the basketball the best. Not who can take a stuffed animal off the rim with their teeth.
Which was
or
cool.
who can drive a car out there and have Baron Davis alley-oop it to him. When it was about who can bring something new that we haven't seen before that just involves your body, the ball, and a goal.
So we saw a few of them. Blake Griffin's first round dunk was kind of like that. But I think all of them have been done. And so no one wants to be, and especially, I was surprised Blake Griffin did the honey dip because no one wants you, if you do it that close, like Vince Carter's dunk wasn't that long ago. So when you do it kind of like within that many years, it's like, oh, well, he got that from Vince Carter. Like, kind of like you're stealing it because you can't be original. And so that's why we have all these people bringing out cars in 11-foot goals and all kinds of weird stuff because they're trying to be original and creative because they don't want to copy someone else's dunks.
Well, in that case, in my opinion, the other change that needs to be made is they need to get rid of the time limit and say you get 2 chances to finish each one of your dunks. Because I don't want to watch Birdman try the same dunk 17 times just for it to not be that spectacular.
I agree. I think there should be a 2 or 3 limit. But
either that or take off a point for every
there should definitely
time
be
you
some
don't
kind of
get it.
deduction. I agree.
Uh-huh.
You shouldn't be able to get a 50 if you took 4 tries.
Because the 7th time I watch someone try to do a dunk and they finally accomplish it, the awe factor is not as great because I'm like, oh, this is what they're trying. Oh, they're still trying to do this. Okay, he still hasn't done it.
Now it's just
Do
embarrassing.
we need to lower the goal for him? Okay, can we get him off the court? Okay, where's Luke Walton when you need him?
Probably in the second row, waiting for a great inbounds pass. Why wasn't he an all-star this year?
I mean, a couple nagging injuries, and even though they voted him in, he decided that he wanted Kevin Love to take his spot. Just a good-hearted move by Luke Walton.
He should have at least been in the skills competition.
Well, they couldn't figure out how to change the skills contest where he wouldn't win it so easily.
Oh, that makes sense.
So he just passed on that. So he's got a great heart.
All right, as far as the game goes, LeBron James had the second triple-double in All-Star game history to Michael Jordan's, and in the fourth quarter, it looked like he was just going to run over people. As soon as he got the ball, I thought it was kind of just like over.
Well, the way he played, especially in the fourth quarter, was grab the ball, get going as fast as he could for as long as he could, and then jump, which is the ultimate way to play in an all-star game because no one's going to step in front of you.
I wouldn't.
You are the most physically intimidating player in the league. You are full sprint down court. No one's going to risk getting hurt in an all-star game. So just based off the fact that he's going to be as athletic as he is for as long as he is, he's going to be able to do that year after year. He could score 100 points in an all-star game. If they just gave him the ball and he started running, no one's going to get in front of him. Nobody. It's ridiculous to think that someone would.
I wouldn't do it in a normal game. He's going way too fast. If you take a charge on him, you risk like bruising your sternum or breaking a false rib or something.
Right, and that's why someone like Kobe Bryant would never step in front of him and take a charge. But that's why you have the Luke Waltons of the world, the Glenn Big Baby Davises, that will, like, they're on the roster for moments like that.
Speaking of Kobe, he won the MVP last night, and he looked very into that game.
He wanted to be the MVP. He went into the game thinking, I'm going to be the MVP.
He did things that I've never seen him do, like reverse slam dunks.
I think he might have done them when he was younger.
Right.
But
I haven't seen him do lately.
Over the past 2 or 3 years, he's kind of pushed that out of his game. And at one point early in the game, I even tweeted, Kobe looks like he actually wants to win this game, which was funny because LeBron probably wanted to win the game as bad or more than Kobe did. LeBron might be the only person that played defense until towards the end of the fourth quarter when he tried to block Kobe's dunk. But I loved that Kobe finished that dunk. I think it was kind of symbolic to me because I don't like LeBron. And I don't really care for Kobe that much. But it was kind of Kobe saying, hey, I'm not passing you the torch just yet. Like, this is still my league.
I think you're looking way too far into that. You're like a philosophizer.
You're an idiot.
All right. Well, guess who was 3-1 last week in games to pick? Take a guess. Wasn't you. Who could it be?
I bet it was Blake.
Nope. But he lives.
Maybe Joey?
Nope, but he lives
Was
with
it
Blake.
Joey?
No, wasn't Joey.
It wasn't Nick. He could never pick that many games right.
No.
Court?
Nope, might have been me though.
Doubtful. Could it have been? Could it have been Ty?
No, it was not Ty. Okay.
Kobe?
No, it was
Luke
me. It
Walton.
was
Luke
me.
Walton. It was Luke.
It
Oh,
was
oh, it
me.
was you. It says it right here on the outline. It was
It
you.
was me. That makes me 10-8. And guess who I'm tied with?
Um,
Someone who didn't do so
probably,
hot last week. Someone named Kyle.
probably.
Mm.
It's
Kyle struggled 2-2 last week, letting me claw back into the game.
okay. I'm still smarter than you.
Well, we'll have a leader after this week because there's 5 games, which means one of us is not going to be tied with the other one unless one of the games ties, which is unlikely.
Well, what you haven't told the people is that we already know who each other are picking.
I forgot yours. I didn't actually
Because
write them down. I forgot yours.
right, but we have 3 games picked differently out of the 5 games we're set to pick, so we're not going to be tied. Is what Nathan was trying to say, even though he sounded like a fool.
I could be winning, though.
You could be losing by 3 games.
Oh, that'd be bad. But not out of the realm of possibilities either. Okay. The Jimmers are going to San Diego State. Who are you picking, Kyle?
As much as it pains me to say, because I'm on the Jimmer bandwagon as much or more than anyone else I know.
Boo.
I've got the Jimmer T-shirt, and I love watching the Jimmer play. Hey Nathan, do you have a Jimmer T-shirt?
No, I'm going to steal yours when I come to Waco.
Okay, cool. I think San Diego State's going to win the game. BYU beat him the first time. Jimmer hasn't been playing quite as incredible lately. He's still amazing, and he does play his best games on the road. But I just see San Diego State thinking that they need this win to prove who they are more than the Fighting Jimmers do.
I agree that he hasn't been playing well of late, but he's the Jimmer, and I will take him against anyone at any time, no matter what. BYU will win this game, and it may not be close.
I'd also like to say that I'm rooting for BYU.
Well, now you're just being ridiculous.
Well, it's not ridiculous, but let's go. Syracuse at Georgetown. Who you got?
I have Syracuse for the reason that they have been awful lately, so I will pick them against a good team.
I'm going with Georgetown here because Syracuse has been awful lately, and I will not pick them against a good team.
Interesting reasoning. Florida's going to Kentucky. We picked this game a few weeks ago. I had Kentucky and lost. You had Florida, and I think you won. Are you picking Florida again?
No, I'm going to go with Kentucky.
Welcome to my team.
Kentucky has hit a rough patch lately. Haven't been playing great basketball. Kind of like what happened when I picked West Virginia over Notre Dame last week. I think Kentucky needs this win more than Florida does. Florida's been playing great lately, had some big wins. I just see Kentucky at home taking this one.
I agree. I'm taking the blue team and white team, not the blue or an orange team.
Steve Lavin is traveling to Villanova. Who are you taking? Steve Lavin is St. John's for those of you that aren't quite as educated as me.
Is there anyone as educated as you?
Good point. Idiots.
Still pulling that. All right. I'm going to go with Villanova because I'm not fully on board with the whole St. John's thing yet. I don't buy in.
I'm taking Villanova too. St. John's has done some great things at home, but I don't think it's going to happen at Villanova. I think that Villanova is a better team, and I think St. John's just had a big win, and they're not good enough to get another big win right away.
All right. Matchup of the weekend. A&M going to the Farrell Center, playing the Baylor Bears. Who are you taking?
As our devoted listeners know, I picked A&M the first time around in this matchup, and it came back to kick me in the butt as Baylor won. And I was actually super, super excited about that. But I can't pick Baylor. I watched them play too much. They've tortured me for 21 years. They aren't that good this year.
Shouldn't give out your age on the podcast.
I didn't give out my age.
Shouldn't give out your age on the podcast.
I didn't give out my age.
Cyber stalkers.
Facebook, Kyle Crawford. I went to Midway High School, and I now go to Baylor University. I've lived in Waco, Texas my entire life. My current address is 208 Bagby Place. right, very close to the slick. So if you want me, come and find me. I'm going with Texas A&M. I can't pick Baylor. I can't pick Baylor. That's why. Go Baylor. I'm rooting for you with all of my heart. I hate A&M more than anyone in the world. Go Baylor, but A&M's going to beat you.
All right. I will take Baylor because they beat them last time, and now they're at home, and they need wins against teams like this. They can't lose these games. So
yeah, they also needed a win against Texas Tech. The
easy to overlook. Pat Knight has had his team ready.
Pat Knight's an idiot. The only person I like less than Pat Knight is Bob Knight.
All right.
Seriously, Bob Knight complains about players' attitudes, and he once threw a chair across the court because he was mad. How can Bob Knight say, "Oh, you can't be mad out there on the court," when Bob Knight once threw a chair across the court?
In his defense, he didn't hit anybody.
In his defense, neither did any of the players that he's talking about, and that's not actually in his defense.
It's kind of as in his defense.
It's really not.
I was just trying to argue with you.
My great-grandmother, who was 103,
wow,
absolutely despises Bob Knight. When I was in high school, I used to make jokes about how I was going to go play wherever Bob Knight coached, and I was just going to walk on, just where I could make her mad and see how fired up she would get at him. If I had to tell you her 3 least favorite people in the world, number 1 would be Satan, number 2 would be Barack Obama, and number 3 would be Bob Knight.
That was an awesome list. God Squad, baby.
So that's Granny for you. I'm about to go visit her.
Hi, Granny. You should listen to the podcast. All right. Don't forget, if you want to sponsor the podcast, to text Kyle or I, or Facebook us, or Twitter us, or come over and pay up. And I will tell you if you have a winning bid for next week. As of right now, we're on a week-to-week basis. So if you want to sponsor the podcast, holla at us, players.
We'll also talk long-term contracts. For instance, if you're looking to throw down $100,000 for a lifetime contract, it might not be the winning bid, but we can try to work something out there.
Don't forget that this thing going viral will affect your sponsorship and will make the rate increase. So
it'll be in the contract that we draw up. So.
Can you say that last part again?
Onions! That part?
I don't know. Sure. Besides that, like the podcast on Facebook, and by next week, Carmelo Anthony will be on a different team, and we'll have to talk about it then. But after that, we might not have to talk about it ever again.
Also, one last reminder, get back into your game.
Yeah, we're leaving on that note. Have a great week.
Hit buckets.